Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Okay, here is the title. So, this is this is medium range forecast error, ARC, as its relation to ARC coupling, clouds, and the scale of meridional propagation of convection. So, last few years, India Met Department and NCMR WF in India, they are providing routinely and on daily, day-to-day basis short range forecasting over the Indian region as well over the globe using regional model which is centered around India region and the global models like GFS around the globe. So it is required to diagnose the skill of forecast skill of these models for their useful to assess their usefulness as well as possible model improvement in the future. So what I did here is taken a recent model from ECMWF, which I will show quickly for some results, and then which is ECMWF is one of the models because this is one of the best model actually in many aspects, may not be all aspects, but many aspects. This model was run for 2008 and 9, May 2008 to April 2010. Basically, data is available freely with a very high resolution. This is part of the year of tropical convection, which I guess Mitch Moncrief will talk about tomorrow in detail. So this data is available free on the web, and I use this data set to assess the skill of this model, ECMWF model basically, to get its skill over the Indian region and possible diagnostics that how we can improve or how can get these models going for the future, or this model or many other models. So this is a kind of a rough summary of the model. We have 3 days forecast for up to 96 hours from this model, but at total forecast runs for 240 hours, that is 10 days. But forecast starts at 12 GMT of every day. So what I did is I have moved out the first 12 hours so that it go to the 0 to 0. So first leaving out first 12 hour, next the 12 to 36 hours I call it day 2 and day 3 and all so forth and so forth. So every day forecast starts to go for 240 hours, okay, like that. So this is I have taken data again for 2008. I'm using only 2008 here. So this is daily precipitation intensity over the Indian region. So whenever we talk about Indian region, we call it 70 east to 90 east, 8 to 28 north, and only over land, okay, no ocean. So this is daily precipitation over Indian region from TRIM satellite observation, TRIM 3B42. So it was a kind of a normal monsoon year. That's what I'm trying to show here with kind of like typical actives and breaks, okay. So and this is the mean state of the model, ECMWF model for day 2 forecast. Okay, this is TRIM observations from July 2008. This is the mean day 2 forecast, like all the string of day 2 forecast averaged over. Okay, that's all. So, and what you see here is, well, mainly that primary features of ITCZ and the main locations of precipitation has been captured by the model, fine. But when you make a difference, that is the model minus TRIM, that's the bias, it's not the RMS, it's the bias. We see a large bias, especially over northeast India and Myanmar region and kind of southern Bay of Bengal and many other places. There are negative bias over equatorial Indian Ocean as well. So this is only day 2 forecast. Move on to the day 3. Oh, sorry. This is day 3 forecast for this thing. Again, TRIM doesn't change. Model has also that it has a similar feature. However, the bias has increased, of course, because as the day goes, higher lead time, we have more and more error. So this is for day 7. So this is RMS error of this over this RMS error and correlation coefficient of the spatial correlation coefficient I'm putting it here. So kind of keeps on increasing. So which is fine. So what I did is that here this is from day 3 to day 10 forecast error, correlation coefficient, spatial correlation coefficient over the tropics, it drops down from 0.79 in day 2 to around 0.73 in day 10. And RMS error kind of increases from 2.23 to 0.27. But to notice here is the dropping is not much from day 2 to day, that is the increase of error is not very high in 9 days of forecast. That is the first day itself, it was very high forecast error. Then it kind of increases as the day goes, but it's not very high. The first 12 hours, it forecast has increased a lot. That is the model has got to a climatic state. So this is 2008 precipitation again. So to get whether this model captures the active and break cycle properly, because we have seen the monthly mean feature now, whether I can see it can because of 10-day forecast, 10-day long forecast. So when you are in an active phase, can it get the next break phase, or you are in a break phase, can you get the next active phase? That's the thing. So to get there, all this lot of fluctuations, get rid of those, what I did is I have done a 3-day running mean, which kind of captures this is the red line is the 3-day running mean on top of the observation data set. So that kind of gets a smooth curve, that's all. And this is from the time runs from May middle to the end of September here, or sorry, June here. So this is one of the forecasts starting on this day. This red curve is the forecast, black is the observation. So what it happens is that when there is a system present here, model starts from that assimilated condition of that time. It is able to get this decrease in intensity of precipitation, and then goes back, that is precipitation increases, although the rate of change of precipitation is not exactly proper, but this is all over India, this is again all over India. So rate of change is not exactly correctly captured, but it has the correct sign and in the correct time. Move on, another day, again closer to this break phase or the transition phase, it can get this down properly, but you have a large error here in time as or on intensity, whatever you call it, because you can push it up or move it left side, okay, which way you want. So it can get it, kind of thing. This is again, we start on a break phase, the model if you start, it can get it up here, okay. So it is kind of from the break phase, it can go all the way up the active phase. This is the same story here. However, if you start from an active phase, peak of the monsoon season, that when there is a lot of precipitation all over this region, to start from this phase of this model, it can get it. Sometimes it is possible that the intensity decreases, but it keeps on increasing again. You same thing here. If you see another day, which is I think 1 or 2 days later, if I start the model here, so it is not able to get that from the active phase. It cannot go down to the break phase. So that is the problem. So it seems that model is able to capture from an active phase. So there is a lot of, which says that basically if there is a lot of convection already available in the initial condition, it is able to get it right, the transition from active to break or break to active. However, if you start from this kind of a situation, I do not know what was the reason here. So this could be this is the condition. So in here it was possible, but here it was not. So it was a long break, something going down. It is not able to capture this condition properly. But whenever you come here, whenever there is already it is a break, the model intensity is going down. So it is possible to capture again. So it is able to get this entire transition properly, just 1 or 2 days later. Okay. So no. This is the model starts at this time whenever the red line starts, and the same forecast of the model from that time to the last day, the 10-day long forecast. If it is day 2, it will be perfect. There is nothing wrong about it. Okay. This is the model starts on whenever the red light is there. Sorry, red line starts here, and 10-day long. So whether we will be able to capture it or not. That's all it is. Okay.
Why do you have a frequency assigned equals 0?
That is the initial. This is first of all, this is a day 2 forecast. Any day 1 forecast also will have error. So I have shown that day 2 forecast error itself is large. Okay. Only at day 0, even at 0th time, even you will have error unless you do proper physical initialization of the precipitation in the model. You will have still error. This is not ensemble. This is This is one member. So only data assimilation of that on all the things is not enough. You have to do proper physical initialization of the precipitation. Then you can go much closer. Yeah. Okay, so same story here. So if you go from the kind of break to active, low precipitation, high precipitation, it is possible to get it. It gets it correctly. Okay. Well, so next I wanted to see is, that was what I showed all this time was mean over all over the Indian region. That's a large region I have averaged over. So how sensitive is the skill of the model to the choice of the region? How big a region you want to choose? That's all it is. Kind of a thing. So it did start with a small point here. This is the point here, and then chosen 4 regions, one around maybe So this is like keeps on increasing the region average. Okay, so average the time series of precipitation, average the region. So you have 122 the time series and do the temporal correlation. So kind of a get a skill. Okay, so this is different lines are for different days of forecast. Okay, this is day 2, this is day 5, day 8, and day 10. And x-axis is the area dimension keeps on increasing, and y-axis kind of a skill, which is the correlation coefficient. Yes, higher the value, higher is the better is the skill. So of course day 2 has a higher skill than day 5 and so on and so forth. But to notice here is, in day 2 scale, it doesn't increase much after 3 or 4 degrees of averaging. So if you go beyond 3-4 degrees averaging, there is no point in averaging beyond that if you are in a day 2 forecast. Okay. However, day 10 forecast, that's why if you go to longer range, you can keep on increasing the area of averaging and keep on increasing the skill of your forecast. That is, that fluctuation, that overall fluctuation, temporal fluctuation of the precipitation, you can capture much better if you got larger and larger area average, but not true for a short range forecast. If you only for day 2 or 3, you are better off within a very small scale as good as 3 degrees to 5 degrees. That's all. You do not get the increase the skill after that. Same story here, same thing in a different way. So I'm just going to go into that. This is here. This is a frequency distribution of precipitation. Like this is not 1-to-1. What is that? This is first bar is from TRMM observation. Then 3 bars are hatched bars are the day 2, 5, and 8 of forecast from the model. So this is first one is 0 to 0.001. This is from the digital data. There could be some this. So it can be think of a no precipitation range. So a huge, that is at least 45% of the, this is over land and ocean. So 45% of the points in the TRMM data set, this is 0.25 degree data set, has no precipitation. There is 122 days, no precipitation kind of, zero precipitation. And model is underestimating that by a large amount. Model has only around 5%. Day 2, 4, or all the days, anything. So it says that model is always drizzling, which you can find in next bin. So this is like up to 5 millimeters per day precipitation, where model is much higher as compared to the observation. That means it is always precipitating in the model. Okay? But remember that this is not a question of the interpolation of the model, if you think of, because the model itself is around 22 kilometers only. So this is of the comparable grid size of the TRMM data set, which is 25 kilometers or 0.25 degree. Okay? Same story over ocean. But if you see in the higher region, higher precipitation range, above 10 millimeters per day here over land and ocean, model has much more points as compared to the observation, which says that heavy precipitation, you are more likely to get heavy precipitation in the model, events in the model, as compared to in the observation. This is equitable threat score and bias score here, and this is the false alarm ratio here. So with as a function of the threshold of the precipitation, and you see there's this, and 3 lines are for 3 different days of forecast. The same story that as day grows, as the postcard lead time goes, you have the more and more error. But to notice here is here, this is land and this is ocean. If you see the spread, that is the day-to-day forecast spread, this 2 to 10 or 8-day forecast spread is more over ocean as compared to over land, which says that error growth over ocean is higher than compared to over land. This is, look at the ETS, look at the bias score, and look at the false alarm ratio. In all the 3 cases, especially the false alarm ratio, if you see, this is day 2, and this is, I guess, 5, and this is 8. Yeah. So this error growth is much higher over ocean as compared to that over land. This is the diurnal circular precipitation from TRMM observations again. This is all in local standard time. This is interpolated data in local standard time. This is 0, 3, and all the way up to 21 local standard time. If you make the difference between the model from the observation, that is a model minus observation at all these local standard time, you see in the late night or early morning hours, lot more precipitation is happening in the model over Bay of Bengal. And in the late afternoon hours, that is 18 or 21 or early evening hours, lot less precipitation is happening in the model over land region, which should not be the case. So this is a time series of the hourly precipitation, 3 hourly precipitation from the model as observation. You see there is a high peak is completely wrong here. So in the model as compared to the observation, especially over land. I think both over ocean as well. So next what you do is that last time what I showed, we started with the mean precipitation difference. That is the mean state of the model. So what I do is now here is JJS precipitation RMS error, okay, of July. Sorry, the JJS precipitation, 180 RMS error of precipitation. So this is the TRIM model, same thing what I showed earlier, but however this is the grid by grid RMS error. There's a time series 122 days and RMS error, calculate the RMS error, okay. So you have high RMS error wherever you have high precipitation, kind of, wherever you have model observed high precipitation, you have high amount of RMS error all the way, okay. But if you see, if you now characterize or if you now differentiate or you kind of bin these point locations wherever those RMS are in the model as a function of the mean observed precipitation and the standard deviation of the observed precipitation. What I mean is that whether the mean is very high there or the day-to-day fluctuation of precipitation is high there. These two cases, okay? So characterize these two. So this is over land and this is over ocean. So this x-axis is the mean tree precipitation over a grid. This is standard deviation of tree precipitation over a grid. This is over, same thing over ocean. And the shaded is the RMS error over that grid, mean RMS error or that this thing. So what you see is here is as the mean increases or the standard deviation is increasing, your RMS error is increasing, okay? But you see here, like these points, both are for land and ocean, it is correct, same thing. However, ocean has a much more spread in the higher range of mean precipitation. That means even with a smaller mean precipitation, you can have large standard deviation over ocean, which is not that kind of over land. Over land, it is mean is increasing, standard deviation is increasing, kind of in a linear sense. Okay, but now look at the colors here. So colors are this the value of the RMS error. This is it was from day 2 to day 5 if you go, the values of the RMS error is increasing, and day 2 again RMS error day 2 5 is increasing. There is no surprise in that. But what I want to notice here is, if from day 2 to day 5, if you increase the lead time, the increase in the RMS error is mostly confined to this high value of mean and standard deviation over land, but only high value of standard deviation over ocean. It is not here. Go from day 2 to day 8, it is the same story. It has increased mostly over land here, but over ocean it has increased here, not here. Be careful. It is not here, it is here. So what it says is that where you have more fluctuations over ocean, day-to-day fluctuation is not able to capture in a high lead time. Okay? Over land, it is not true. So that is the thing. So what could be the reason? So before that, what I come here show you here is again the precipitation RMS error as a lead time of forecast over tropical land ocean and South Asian land ocean separately. So this is over ocean, this is over land, and this is the South Asia. You see that over ocean, you start with a low amount of error and keeps on increasing it much more rapidly as compared to over land. And same story is over tropical land and ocean. We start with a lower amount of RMS error, but it crosses even after day 5 of forecast, which again shows that the error growth is more over ocean as compared to that over land. To understand, and this is again the bias of the precipitation, the total mean precipitation. So this is over land, always remains almost the same, but this is over ocean. It keeps on. Bias was very least in the earlier, in the day 2 forecast and increases. Okay, so to see what exactly could be the reason for this kind of a change in the increase in rate of growth of error over ocean is larger over land. What we've taken is the 2-meter air temperature from the model and tried to calculate its skill, get its skill. Because remember that this model, what they used is, this was a atmosphere only model where the SST is constant from the first time. T is equal to 0, whatever SST you provide, you keep it constant up to 240 hours. Okay, so it did not take the surface temperature here, taken the 2-meter air temperature, which closely corresponds to the SST, and this is the RMS error of this 2-meter air temperature from the model. So this is over land and this is over ocean. So what it says is RMS error is a much larger over land as compared to over ocean, and the rate of increase of error growth is almost similar. Okay, but if you see the spatial correlation, That is how good is the pattern. This over land, you have very high spatial correlation and doesn't decrease as rapidly as that over ocean. What it says is again that over ocean, you start with a respectively good value of spatial pattern of the temperature, but as the time grows, you lose it very quickly, okay, and goes down and almost goes to a plateau after day 8 or so. Over land, you are able to keep it constant. However, you are making errors in the value of the temperature. Okay, you have a higher error in the RMS error. That is, the values are wrong, pattern is correct. Over ocean, values are closer, but the pattern is wrong. So this could be the reason that this could be because of the ARC coupling. That could be one of the reasons, because you are keeping the SST constant. Over land, it is the interactive land model. So what happened is that the model may be wrong, but if your kind of pattern of precipitation is kind of okay in the correct location, you are able to get the near surface temperature correctly. Over ocean, you are not able to do that. So it is the 2 meter air temperature is mainly driven by the SST, which remains constant over in time, but you are not able to get that in this with lead time, higher lead time. Okay. So this is then we can move on to this northern propagation of this stream precipitation. What you are doing here is, this is the model and this is stream and model. This is 83 to 93, because we know that this actives and break spells over Indian region. This starts from the convection starts near the equator and goes all the way up to the foothills of the Himalayas. So this is day 2 of the model, day 5, 6 of the model, day 10 of the model. So as time grows, it vanishes. That's okay. So, but what I'm trying to show is that spatial correlation, the pattern correlation of this error, which starts from one point and goes down rapidly down. To get this even much more, like this, the scale of this propagation, that is how large is the spatial extent, and how exactly what is the center point of spatial of their origin. That is, many models, what they do is that they start convection just south of the Bay of Bengal instead of near the equatorial Indian Ocean. So you have to know where is the origin and what is the spatial extent of the convection. So to diagnose that, what we did is we have a wavelet analysis technique, wavelet technique we have used to get the spatial and temporal scales of these meridionally propagating convective systems anywhere in the world, whatever it is in the data set. Okay, so this is, I'm not going to go details of this data of this technique. This is in we have used a Morlet wavelet, which is a complex value wavelet function, and this is how it looks, Morlet wavelet, and we have done that analysis in the frequency domain actually. So this is a typical this is a synthetic data set I have used here to just show. Okay, by the way, this let me show this one. So this is the final value of the final result of the wavelet analysis. What we do is that we take the two-dimensional data set in time and space. Okay, so we have y and t. Then do wavelet analysis on the data set twice. So every time wavelet analysis on every dimension, that is y and t, gives you one more dimension there. One is scale, one is the space, the center, that where it is centered. Okay. So giving two-dimensional wavelet analysis, we get these two. There's a spatial scale and the location of the in space, temporal scale, location in time. That's all it is. Okay. Then in this analysis, what I will show is, I will show only these two, variation with S, with the spatial scale and location in the space. I have averaged it over temporal scale and location in time. Okay. So here I am not showing that, all those two. So this is a synthetic data set. This is a typical of the northern propagation. This is, you can think of this around the equator, just south of the equator. Convection starts in around maybe May or early May or April. It slowly reaches all the way up to the foothills of the Himalayas, and then as the season grows after July and August, in September and October it goes down all this way. Okay, so there is an envelope here, and within the envelope, this is an envelope, and within the envelope there is inter-seasonal oscillation. Okay, this envelope And sorry, if you do the wavelet analysis of this data set, the synthetic data set, we get it here. So this is how do you get this data set? This is around 10 times, this is the amplitude, sine of twice pi. So the time period, so the spatial extent is, spatial scale is 40 degrees for me, and this is temporal scale is 30 days. So 30 days oscillation with a 40 degree spatial scale here. And this is the wavelet spectra here, time mean. So which is centered around, this is around centered around 10 degrees here. So because this is starts at minus 10, goes up 30 degrees. So this is 10 here, and the spatial scale is around 40 degrees. So this is it shows. So what it shows is that, so I'll be showing this kind of diagram again and again in this next few minutes. What it will be here is whereas the center is the center of the convection. That wherever convection starts or how far it goes, the center of this blob here is the center of the convection, and the spatial scale it will show in the y-axis is how far was what was the extent of this convection. Okay, how far it's so. So you can, with these two data sets, you will be able to understand where exactly the convection started, where it ended. Okay, and that magnitude of this color will show how intense it was. Same thing if I do without an interstellar oscillation in the data set, if I show only the envelope, no interstellar oscillation, I don't get any scale. Okay, so this is basically this blob is coming due to ISO in the data. So this is stream precipitation during 1998, 72, 70, 75 to 80. This is that interstellar oscillation whatever is available here, and this is that two things, the June, July, and August, September. So this is the center around 10 degrees, center around 5 to 8 degrees in the latter half of the season, but we get two peaks here. Therefore, which says that there are two scales located around two different regions with two different spatial scales. Okay, that's what it says. And the same thing is the same kind of analysis if you do over Africa, for example, where you do not have much of this kind of scales of north-south propagation. You do not see much scaling this propagating system. And also we see that here that if in 2002, when we had a large long breaks in the monsoon season, this analysis is able to capture these active and break spells. So during an active spell, the center convection is around 20 degrees north. When a break spell, it goes back to south of the equator, and again the next active spell here, it goes all the again after in the north of the equator. Okay, so this kind of a robust analyzing tool to get the spatial scale and extent of convection. So this is two different years I'm showing. One is 2005, where it was a kind of normal monsoon year, and one is 2009, where it's a break monsoon, when it's a poor monsoon year. It may not be able to see. The one is that in the normal monsoon year, the center of convection is further north, and in the weak monsoon year, center of convection is further down. Okay, in the south of near the equator. So if you take all those years from 2000, I think 1998 to 2007 or 2009, if you take all the years and calculate get an index, which is, we call it the index for the spatial extent of convection, which is defined by Leaks. There is a latitude, that is the center of the convection, which you get from the wavelet analysis, plus the scale, that is the spatial extent by 2. That is therefore it gives you the center plus the half of the spatial extent. If you can get that an index of that kind and calculate and draw a scatter plot of this index with precipitation, observed precipitation, we kind of get a linear fit here, except 1 year, where 2007, which is off the line. Actually, we saw that, I don't have the plot here, I saw that that year we had two scales of propagation. One was here, one was here. So that the smaller scale, this is what I showed here, is the primary scale, that is the scale with the highest magnitude. There was another scale, a secondary magnitude, that probably had contributed to the higher amount of precipitation as compared to the scale itself in this year. No, this could be that could be that could be correct. Okay, so then what I try to do is that use the same technique to get the analysis, get back to our YTC analysis again, get the YTC data set, day 2 forecast, string of forecast, date up to day whatever forecast it is. So and then do the same thing here. So this is day 2. We know that observation now. Okay. So this is day 2 forecast. Again, the mean, it's okay. It is correct, good actually. This around 32 degrees spatial scale with a mean at around 12 degrees north. Okay. From day 2 to day 5, if you go, it has come down. That is the spatial extent. That is the spatial extent is correct. That is 32 degrees. However, the convection has gone south near closer to the equator. If you go to day 8, it has again gone from, but even actually not able to see the peak here. It is very close to the equator. Okay. So as the time frame grows, what is happening in the model is the spatial extent of convection remains the equal or the almost constant. However, it is not able to reach all the way up to the foothills of the Himalayas. Convection may be starting further south, not able to reach further north. So it is somewhere around in between. Okay, fluctuating about the equator. Okay. So when I do times, this is for all the. So what I did is there from this plot, pick up this center of this convection, that is the spatial dominant spatial scale, and the latitude, mean latitude, or the latitude where it is peak is occurring, and calculate the ISEC, that is the index for the spatial external convection, which I defined earlier, and plotted as a function of the days of forecast. So we start with this one and goes down rapidly. This black dashed line is from the observation, the 2008 stream observation. So day 2 is quite good. Huh? This is all same. Okay. However, as the day grows, this keeps on going down. The ISEC goes down rapidly, mainly not due to the scale of the convection, but due to the latitude, which I showed earlier in the 3 plots. The latitude that it goes closer from, it was from around a center around 12 to 13 degrees, goes all the way up to near the equator as the day grows up. So what we saw in this all this analysis till now is possibly there could be a problem with the Yarsi coupling in this model which was responsible for the higher growth of error over ocean. Okay, with lead time. So since we do not have this model available with us, what we do is we have taken another model that called a seasonal forecast model, and that is also atmospheric only model. In this center, what we did is that we have developed a slab ocean model and plugged into the model inside this one, and initialize the model with the observed SST, and may have the model run for up to 10 days, and have the SST interactive, and given the mixed layer depth from observation, that's the climatological mixed layer depth, and run the model for 10 days, and I'll show you a few results from initial results. This is from 90 to 95 east SST and 0 to 5 degree north SST average from the model. This is from observation. This is from the fixed SST run. So we have run the model twice. One with fixed SST, the same way what usually these days model does for the short range forecasting. This is from the red one is from the slab ocean model, the same model with the slab ocean includes to it, and the blue one is for the irrelevance SST with the 7-day mean irrelevance SST. So there's kind of a trend here which gets there's a decreasing trend in SST kind of captured inside the model, and which then I will show you is the spatial correlation of precipitation over South Asian monsoon region. What I do here is get the South Asian monsoon 60 to 100 days, whatever it is, and get the spatial correlation with the days of the same story. Okay. However, now in this model with 2 different configurations. So what I do here is the fixed SST one here, and this is land and ocean. If you see here, this is over land with fixed SST and the slab ocean model, and this is over ocean. So what happens is at the beginning of the time, we do not have much difference between the slab ocean model and fixed SST conditions. However, after day 5 or so, we have a kind of an edge of the slab ocean model. Slab ocean model is kind of a little slightly better as compared to the fixed SST model in this kind of fixed SST condition. This is not true over land. If you see over land, this is almost the same in both the cases. So I think I think I'll conclude here. Time is also almost up. Thank you. Yeah.
What is that due to? What could be the reason for that?
It
It's
could
a
be
very
that it may be
strong bias.
convecting somewhere south of the, like some other locations, or it is like, or it may not be an organized convection which is going. So it could be a lot more scattered one. Okay, so it is not able to pick up the from.
So the model has a major defect
Yeah.
for predicting 5 days.
Yeah.
It will never come correct in the 5-day forecast.
Yeah,
2-3
correct.
days it may keep on right, then it starts its bias.
Yeah.
And the forecast would never be correct.
Yeah, that's true. So it
So the active phase cannot be maintained, or the northward progressing episode cannot be maintained in the model.
yeah.
So what could be the reason for that?
What see what I feel that if the convection is present in the initial condition, it is you are much better off to go in the future. But if it is not present, to generate the convection in the future, maybe if it is down the line 2-3 days, it could be very hard time.
Based on your last comment, Ekta, you noted that in general, the errors are larger over ocean than land.
Yeah.
Now, convective systems are generally born over the ocean.
Yes.
And so on land, they are already in the initial condition. Whereas since you can't capture the genesis over ocean so often,
Yeah.
maybe the errors are due to that process rather than any ALC coupling. This is just a guess. But, even in the short range forecasts
Yeah.
that Krish had and so on, I found the problem was in capturing the genesis over the ocean. Once
Yeah.
it is generated, then the model is okay.
Yeah, that's
correct?
that's correct. Well, but here what I have shown is over land and ocean separately as well. So if the system is already generated over ocean and stayed over ocean for some time, for example over Bay of Bengal, then the error should be should be similar over land and ocean, to be honest. Because if it stayed over ocean for a long time, and compared to
Are the results you showed concerning the northward movement of the convection from the regional model or from ECMWF?
No, this is northward movement of, that is from the ECMWF model. Same.
From the results, the spatial scale of the propagations is same,
Yeah.
but the center is moving southward.
Yeah.
So does that mean that the propagations are starting from the southward and not reaching the head bay?
Yeah.
Oh. So when in the kind of third day forecast,
Yeah.
when the center is just at the equator, the 32 days scale would mean that 16 degrees south it starts, and
Actually, you are right, but I would guess a different way. I would guess that this, for a longer lead time, it is not the organized convection or which is a propagating convection. It is like a scattered convection here and there.
Oh, okay.
Which is getting the scale larger.
so it is not about the coherence.
It
of
is not about the coherence. It is anywhere anything. Yeah.
Just a quick comment on that. When you looked at the distribution of the type of precipitation,
Yeah.
there was an awful lot of drizzling rain, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of surprising to me. Where I would have thought that at 25 kilometer resolution, you'd get a considerable amount of grid scale, propagating stuff.
Yeah.
Did you really see that, or I mean, where was that drizzle coming from? Was it over land or ocean, or where?
Both over land and ocean, because I have more drizzles where both over land and ocean you had a high drizzle, like as compared to observation. If you see it here, yeah, here it is, right? Yeah. So you have both land and ocean. Even ocean is more as compared to over land.
Okay.
One more comment. When you speak in different type of weather, so land and sea, in the tropical environment, the number of oceanic points will be much more than the land points. So a lot of activity will be in the oceanic points. So is that related to the error you see over land and ocean? Could be one reason.
Okay, so this plot which I have shown here is not the entire tropics. This is this one, right? This is over the South Asian region. I think here almost the equal. This is 60 degrees to around 110 or something like that, and around 10 south to 30 north. I think it is around 50-50. Yeah.
They look extremely good.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just wondering, this type of modelers who report for second day, for 4 days, 5 days, that may be spoiling your results. Maybe if you look at individual members,
Yeah.
they're doing okay. It's not clear to me that those composite centers are moving south and so on. You have a lot of complications created because of that composite generation
Right.
and wavelength.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
My suspicion is you are underestimating the skill of the model in getting the propagation, but this is the case.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, we can thank the speakers because we have again